Okay, ready? Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight's regular City Council meeting. For the record, it's September 19th, 2024, and the time is 6:30. Council, I'll begin with the roll call. So when I call your name, please say here or present. Mayor Maxton.
Here.
Councilmember Stroop.
Here.
Roden.
Here.
Olvera. Not present. Laura Kerner.
Here.
Scott Parker is not present. And Chesley Menchow.
Present.
With 5 members of council present, a quorum is declared.
Thank you, Christina. Would everybody please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And thank you. And a reminder to everybody that tonight's meeting is live broadcasted. And would like to thank everybody that is here with us tonight in the room and all those that are joining us by live broadcast. If you do get an opportunity to speak as part of the meeting, I ask that you use the microphone that is at the podium. The reason for that is those that are watching us by live broadcast cannot hear the comments when they're made away from a microphone. So do that. And if you do get an opportunity to speak, I'd ask that you introduce yourself and whether or not you're a Fair Oaks Ranch resident or not. And again, thanks everybody for being here. We'll move on to citizens to be heard. We did have one individual that signed up tonight to speak as part of Citizens to be Heard, and Craig Matson.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to address the City Council here. I'll keep my comments brief. My concern, just quickly, is the possible spread of isolated gang activity in our communities that we've experienced, I think, as a result of our present administration refusing to enforce immigration law. Now we have some problems here. In New York, apparently, we have, according to the U.S. Army North Division, some gang activity. The Tren de Aragua gang has a presence in Brooklyn, Bronx, Williamsburg, New York, with approximately 400 gang members living in these cities. But it's not confined to the New York area. Let me read just very briefly some comments that came across the tape this morning, and just 2 paragraphs. Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Monday announced the state is going to target a Venezuelan gang that he said was notorious for brutal violence and murder and posed a threat to Texans' safety. This is from Greg Abbott. At a press conference in Houston, Abbott signed a proclamation that declares the Tren de Aragua gang a foreign terrorist organization and directed the Department of Public Safety to, get this, create new strike teams of highway patrol officers, SWAT teams, helicopters, canines, and Texas Rangers to target areas with known TDA activity. So this isn't just a couple of local hoods that are stealing cars, and once we drag them off the street, it'll all be over with. This is a growing problem. Now, where else is this gang activity? Well, most of you have heard about the problems that they're having up in Aurora, Colorado. Apparently, a couple of apartment complexes have been taken over by some of these gang members. Well, that shouldn't be a big surprise. Aurora, Colorado is about a 30-minute drive from Denver. Denver is a sanctuary city. What does that mean? Sanctuary cities are cities that have declared they are not going to enforce immigration law, meaning if you're here illegally, you get caught, you will not be turned over to ICE and deported. That's what that means. So it acts essentially as a magnet for illegal immigrant activity. So, and that's what they're getting. So apparently they are having some problems down in El Paso The governor singled out El Paso as a hotbed for recent criminal activity by suspected members of this particular prison gang from Venezuela. They're also having them in North Dallas. I used to live in Addison. Well, they're apparently have been taken over, or maybe taken over is a wrong word. There's Venezuelan gang activities in Carrollton, which is only a couple miles from where I used to live. And it's an affluent area, very nice, but they are experiencing this kind of activity up there. So what's my concern? My concern is that it could spread here or really any place. We don't really know where these people are. We've got 10 million, more or less, illegals that are here. We don't know where they are, who they are, and what their intended purpose is, what they're doing here. So I think from a security point of view, I'm just wondering if, and I know these kinds of conversations are already taking place. I'm wondering what Plan A might be in case we have a problem here in our community, or even in these areas that are contingent to Fair Oaks Ranch. That's my concern. Thank you very much.
Craig, thank you very much, and thank you for being here tonight and raising your concern to the council. Craig was the only individual that did sign up as part of Citizens to be Heard. Is there anybody else here tonight that didn't get an opportunity to sign up that would like to speak? With that, I did receive one letter that was sent to me that was asked to be read as part of Citizens to be Heard tonight. The letter is from Jerry Pieper, and she is a Fair Oaks Ranch resident. And she writes, "Dear Mayor and Council, please let us know when you plan to place speed monitoring signs on Dietz Elkhorn West, specifically in the 9200 block. In the summer of 2021, the 2021-22 budget included $175,000 for some enhancements to Dietz Elkhorn, to include 2 speed monitoring signs, speed limit radar feedback signs, intersection warning signs, and no truck signs. We have seen and heard nothing. Please advise when these additions will take place. At the same time we receive these signs, we would greatly appreciate the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit being reduced to 30 miles per hour. This modification would be consistent with Dietz Elkhorn east of the Parkway. Further, it is common knowledge and acknowledged by the city that drivers travel 5 to 10 miles over the limit. With the reduction in the speed limit, our hope is to keep drivers traveling at a safer speed to protect themselves as well as the wildlife in this area. And it would also assist those of us on this stretch to exit our property during peak hours. We look forward to having these enhancements made for the safety and the quality of life for us residents in this part of the city. Thank you. Signed, kind regards, Jerry Pieper." And that is all we have for Citizens to be Heard tonight. With that, we'll move on to our presentations. And we do have 2 presentations tonight. And if I could get, Brian, is Jason here too?
No, sir.
So we have a 2-man team for our IT professionals, or our IT department. And Brian Lejeune here and Jason McDonald, who he's probably over fixing something, and that's why he couldn't be here tonight, right? National Information Technology Professionals Day is on September 20th, which happens to be tomorrow. And today we recognize our city's IT department for what they accomplish every day in operating and protecting all of our city's communications equipment. Now, this includes not just the systems that we have here at City Hall, but it also includes our field systems, which includes our water and our wastewater systems. So pretty significant. And overall, a monumental task, I believe, no doubt, that you seem to take on very easily.
Thank you, sir.
As you're smiling. Security of these systems is critical, and ensuring we have the proper updates and patches is a constant, never-ending process. Many weekends and late nights, I receive notifications that the servers are going to go down and they're going to be updated. And my initial thoughts are that Brian and Jason are working after hours to ensure no interruptions with city businesses, which is why you do it during that time frame. But then I think about all the efforts that these two put in to ensuring we have the proper protections for our systems, which honestly could easily be taken for granted. So tonight we recognize Brian and Jason for all that you do. Thank you for what you do for us every day. And your efforts and accomplishments are definitely recognized.
Appreciate that.
So we do have a proclamation that I'd like to present to you and Jason. Whereas National Information Technology Professionals Day has been celebrated on the third Tuesday of every September since 2015. And whereas this year it falls on September 20th, 2024. And whereas the City of Fair Oaks Ranch recognizes the IT experts who ensure that the city's computers, our applications, storage, networking, infrastructure, and processes to create, store, and secure and exchange all forms of electronic data are performing at optimal levels. And whereas in the City of Fair Oaks Ranch, the IT department consists of 2 employees, the IT manager, Brian Lejeune, and the network specialist, Jason McDonald. And whereas the City of Fair Oaks Ranch IT department oversees software programs for the city and the goal of ensuring smooth, efficient, around-the-clock operations for all city departments, including city council, administration, city secretary, court, finance, public safety, and public works. And whereas the City of Fair Oaks Ranch ID department provides 24/7 support for telecommunications systems, cell phones, internet firewalls, servers, desktops, laptops, camera systems, tablets, switches, etc., for both office and field personnel. And whereas the City of Fair Oaks Ranch ID department continues to focus on identifying and meeting new challenges in key areas such as cybersecurity, state and federal guidelines for data management and security, shifting technology trends. Now and therefore, September 20th, 2024 is designated as IT Professionals Day, and I urge all residents to express their appropriate appreciation to our IT team members for their dedication and commitment to Fair Oaks Ranch's council, employees, and residents. So thank you, Brian. And while we're taking a picture, I'll just tell you, I thank you also for all the cybersecurity courses that I get to take. Hey, y'all do a great job. And I know that it's a tough job, and especially in today's world where we're always getting spammed and people are trying to get into our network, you're ensuring that we're protected. So thank you for what you do every day. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And if I could have Joanna and Jennifer join me. Human Resource Professional Day is next Thursday, September 26th. And I'd like to recognize our HR team, Joanna and Jennifer, for all that you do every day for the city. You know, one of our more critical teams, because you focus on our most important city asset, which is our people. These 2 individuals dedicate themselves to ensuring that our city is staffed with the best employees and that our employees have a great environment to work in. In addition to the process of identifying new employees for the team, they are also responsible for the personnel policies and the benefit programs to support the team overall. Their requirements require continuous monitoring, updates, and identification of better conditions to support the employees of the city. Ultimately, they provide the tools to let our people become their best by creating an environment where talent can flow. Jennifer and Joanna, thank you
for the positive attitude you bring to work every day, as y'all are smiling right now, the unrecognized accomplishments that you achieve routinely, and being the front line for the exceptional environment we experience with our extraordinary city staff. Thank you. And I have a proclamation for y'all also. Whereas the Human Resources Department works hard each day to ensure that the city of Fair Oaks Ranch is staffed with high-quality employees and that those employees have a good environment in which to work. And whereas the Human Resource Department is instrumental in recruiting, selecting, resourcing, and retaining exceptional staff members to contribute to our city team. And whereas the Human Resource Department plays a key role in fostering satisfaction and loyalty among employees by allowing for professional growth and development and keeping employees informed about policies, working conditions, compensation, and benefits. And whereas the Human Resource Department monitors and manages current and future workforce trends, organizational charts, legal and legislative trends, and ethical and social responsibility. And whereas the Human Resource Department is an important part of our city leadership and is vital to the overall productivity and efficiency of our Fair Oaks Ranch workforce. And whereas the Human Resource Department is valued and respected department that sustains the most important asset, which is our people. Now and therefore, I designate September 26, 2024 as Human Resources Professional Day. And I urge all citizens to express their appreciation to our human resource team members for their dedication and commitment to the Fair Oaks employees and residents. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. And with that, we'll move on to our consent agenda tonight. We have 7 items on the consent agenda for this evening. The first is approval of the September 5th, 2024 special city council meeting minutes. Second is approval of the September 5th, 2024 regular city council meeting minutes. Third, approval of a second reading of an ordinance amending the City of Fair Oaks Ranch Unified Development Code, or UDC, regarding comprehensive amendments, including various policy and administrative changes. Fourth, approval of a resolution approving an agreement for depository and banking services with Frost Bank to serve as the city's primary banking service depository and authorizing the city manager to execute all necessary documents. Next, approval of a resolution authorizing the execution of agreement with Patty Engineering Incorporated for supervisory control and data acquisition, which is our SCADA system support services. And sixth, approval of a resolution authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement with the City of Boerne for animal control services for fiscal year 2024-25, expenditure of the required funds and execution of all applicable documents by the city manager. And last, approval of a resolution authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement by and between the City of Boerne and Kendall County for public safety and utility communication services, expenditure of the required funds, and execution of all applicable documents by the city manager. Is there any city council member that would like to remove any of these items from consent to consideration? And with that, could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? From Chesley, and a second from Keith. All in favor of approval of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Thank you all. At this time, we are going to go into executive session, and this will be under, pursuant to Section 551.101 of the Open Meetings Act, of the Texas Government Code, a quorum of the governing body hereby convenes into closed session. And we'll do this under Section 551.074, Personnel Matters, to conduct interviews individually of applicants for vacancies on various boards, commissions, and committees for the city of Fair Oaks Ranch. And Christine, I have the time now is 6:50. And for executive session, I need Christina to stay and all the council members. And then Mike will call you back in a minute. And I anticipate that this executive session will last about 30 minutes. We are now in executive session.
I have the time now is 7:14, and we are back in open session. During the time frame that we were in executive session, there were no decisions made that required further consideration item as part of the meeting. With that, we'll move on to our consideration and discussion items tonight. We have 13 items on the agenda. The first up is the consideration and possible action approving the second reading of an ordinance adopting the city budget for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending on September 30th, 2025. And turn it over to you, Summer.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Summer Fleming, Director of Finance, and I have for your consideration the second reading of an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 24-25 budget. This budget totals $26 million for all funds, including transfers. It incorporates a 1.52 cent reduction in the overall tax rate and encompasses all the service delivery and capital investment initiatives established by Council. The public hearing on the budget was held earlier this week, followed by the passage of the first reading of this ordinance. And I have no presentation, but I can answer any questions you may have.
Any additional questions? Any questions from anybody here tonight? Then could I get a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024-25 budget ordinance?
So moved. I second.
Emily, and second from Laura. Any further discussion from council? Comments? All right, I'll turn it over to Christina for the record vote.
Okay. I'll call the record vote on the city budget. Council members, when I call your name, please respond with for, against, or abstain. Mayor Maxton.
4.
Councilmember Stroop.
4.
Councilmember Roden.
4.
Councilmember Kerner.
4.
Councilmember Menchow.
4.
With a vote of 5-4, the budget ordinance passes and is adopted.
5 that voted for it, right? With that, we'll move on to the second consideration item, which is the consideration and possible action approving the second reading of an ordinance levying a property tax rate of 28.53 cents per $100 taxable valuation on property in the city of Fair Oaks Ranch for tax year 2024, determining due and delinquent dates, and providing effective date. Anything else to add, Summer?
No.
And any questions from council? Any questions from anyone here tonight? Then could I get a motion to approve an ordinance levying an ad valorem tax rate of 28.53 cents per $100 taxable valuation for tax year 2024, providing when taxes shall become due and delinquent, and providing an effective date?
So moved.
Second. So we have the motion from Chesley and a second from Keith. Any other discussion, comments from council? And this one does not need to be a record vote, correct, Christina?
Correct.
All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you. The next item that we have up tonight is the consideration and possible action approving a resolution ratifying the recently adopted budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 that contains a property tax rate that raises more total property taxes than the previous year. And Summer.
Sure. So this is just a formality. It's required by Local Government Code Section 102, because while the tax rate is at the no new revenue rate, this budget will raise more property taxes than the previous year's budget. So it's simply ratifying the budget that you just approved, since it will raise more property taxes than last year's budget. That's all I have.
Questions? Any questions from anyone here tonight?
Then can I get a motion to approve a resolution ratifying the recently adopted budget for fiscal 2024-25 that contains a property tax rate that raises more total property taxes than the previous year?
So moved.
From Emily, and a second
Second.
from Chesley. And any other comments or discussion from council? Motion on the table. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And the motion is approved. Thank you all. Thank you, Summer.
Thank you.
The next item that we have up tonight is the consideration and the possible action approving a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2024-25 pay schedule for general government, police, and seasonal employees. Scott, are you going to?
I will take this one, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and Council, the approval of the pay schedule is the final scheduled action as part of the FY 24-25 budget process. And of course, as you know now, the adopted compensation study specifies that the council approve all new job classifications and changes to the pay schedule annually. So as a reminder, the comp study that's adopted recommends that annual across-the-board adjustments are applied to the city's schedules to maintain the city's market position, that they should be at least equivalent to the percent change in the ECI, and that ECI figures should be supplemented with data from benchmark cities where applicable. We provided that data to the council at the August 1st work session, and the council directed at that workshop on August 1st that the total across-the-board adjustment should be 2%, so that's what's proposed as the final adjustment in the pay schedule, and that's what's reflected in the budget. Schedule also includes 3 new job classifications that you approve in the budget. That's the city planner, the project manager, and the police cadet. Pay schedule also includes certification pay, but there are no proposed changes to cert pay this year. The attachment you have on your dais is the corrected version that reflects the 2% across the board adjustment. We realized late in the game that we placed the incorrect draft version in your packet previously, so what you have is the version that reflects the budget amount of 2%. So that is the final recommendation. Again, these changes have been incorporated into the budget you just approved, so therefore I recommend approval.
Of course.
Okay, you originally said, and I just want to make sure I understand, you said that the compensation study said the council should approve the pay scale?
Yes.
Is the compensation study, which is a deliverable by a third-party contractor, become policy just because we accepted the study?
Council adopted it in 2020.
I think we accepted the study and then we took parts of it and put it in our budget. I don't think we made the study our policy. So that's what I'm saying is I don't know if we're required to do this. We accepted the study, but I don't think we turned the study into perpetual city policy. So I don't know. I'm just curious if we are required to approve this pay schedule by policy. I know we've done it before, but I'm just curious. Just because somebody delivers me a study and I accept the study doesn't mean it therefore becomes required action. I accepted the study on the fire safety. I accepted the study on the EMS, but we didn't then make policy. We do everything in it. So that's my question is, did we then turn around and turn it into an official policy? I don't remember that.
I don't know.
I don't have the exact motion, obviously, for you right now.
Okay.
Happy to go back and look at what was actually moved or not in 2020.
Okay. I just,
Nonetheless, I would appreciate formally adopting the changes to the pay plan.
I agree.
that
I know,
study.
I don't have a problem with the pay plan, and I just want to make sure going forward, setting, just because we accept the study doesn't mean we automatically assume every single recommendation there is policy, which,
It's not a policy requirement to accept the pay scales. Is that what you're?
That's what I'm saying. We don't have a policy that says city council must accept pay scale. We have a study that recommends the city council accept pay scales.
Okay.
So my question is, did we turn the recommendations in the study into a policy? Because I don't know if I would have approved a policy that required me to approve every single one of these pay scales every single year, right? Because it's, to me, I think this is something the city manager has discretion on doing as long as we set the budget. I would feel that this would be something the city manager would have discretion in doing. But since we have no policy that I know of. But regardless, beside the point, I have no problem approving it. I just, yeah.
Clarify that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions from anyone here tonight? And with that, could I get a motion to approve a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2024-2025 pay schedule for general government, police, and seasonal employees?
I so move.
From Laura, and a second
Second.
from Keith. Sorry, Chesley, he got you that time.
Got Peter?
Any other discussion from council? Comments or discussion? With the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Thank you all. The next item that we have up tonight is the consideration and possible action approving the second reading of an ordinance extending the expiration of ordinance 2024-10 from October 2nd, 2024 to January 31st, 2025. And Grant, you're going to
Yes, sir.
introduce this one?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Grant Watanabe, the Public Works Director. And these next two agenda items are related to the extension of the emergency ordinances for Noble Ark and Calcolo. To summarize, the first ordinance reduced the speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 20 miles per hour. The second ordinance replaced the yield sign with stop signs at the intersection of Noble Ark and Calcolo. Now, both ordinances are set to expire on October 2nd unless extended by a majority vote of the City Council. Staff is requesting an extension of the emergency ordinances to January 31st, 2025, in order to provide an update to Council in the November or December timeframe on the data being collected, and to implement any additional or alternate traffic control measures over the winter break, and pass any ordinance to make the current or other traffic control measures permanent before the expiration date. The first reading of the extension of the emergency ordinances was approved on September 5th, and this agenda item represents the second reading. Now, if the second reading is not approved, then the emergency ordinance will expire on October 2nd, after which the speed limits will revert back to 30 miles per hour and the stop signs will revert back to the yield sign. That's the end of my presentation. What if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Thanks, Grant. And just for clarification, for council, the consideration item that we're looking at, 2024-10, is related to just to the stop sign, or just to the speed limit signs.
That's correct.
Any questions for Grant? Any questions from anyone here tonight? Then can I get a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance extending the expiration date of ordinance 2024-10 from October 2nd, 2024 to January 31st, 2025?
So moved.
Give it to her. Ladies first.
Chesley made the motion, and Keith seconded. Any other comments or discussion from council? Motion on the table. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Thank you all. And the next consideration and possible action approving the second reading of an ordinance extending the expiration date of ordinance 2024-11 from October 2nd, 2024 to January 31st, 2025. And this consideration item related to the same situation, but is directly related to the stop signs as part of the emergency ordinance. Anything else to add, Grant?
No, sir.
Any questions for Grant? Any questions from anyone here tonight? Then could I get a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance extending the expiration date of ordinance 2024-11 from October 2nd, 2024 to January 31st, 2025.
So moved.
From Emily, and a second.
Second.
Chesley. Any other discussion or comments from council? Then with the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed?
Nay.
Christina, we have 3 for and 2 against.
Four
Need four to
against,
pass.
against. Laura.
We need a majority of council or a majority of the council present? Majority of council present? Then with the 3-2 vote, the motion,
I request a record vote.
Christina, could you conduct a record vote, please?
I'll call for a record vote on the Noble Ark Calcalo stop sign, ordinance 2024-11 extension. Council members, when I call your name, please respond with for, against, or abstain. Mayor Maxton.
4.
Councilmember Stroop.
4.
Councilmember Roden.
4.
Councilmember Kerner.
Against.
Councilmember Menchow.
Against.
Again, we have 3 fours. Mayor Maxton, Councilmember Stroop, Councilmember Roden, and 2 against, Councilmember Kerner and Councilmember Menchow.
Mayor, can we have someone evaluate that, whether it's the majority present? Because previously, we have not approved things unless we've had 4 votes. Even when we had 4 members, only 4 members here, it needed everyone there to vote to make it approved in previous city council meetings.
Tell you what, we owe you an answer back.
Yeah.
The analysis tonight was that all it required was a majority of council present. And so we'll move forward with that, but we owe you an answer back, whether that is accurate or if it's, as you stated, requires a majority of council. If it does require a majority of council, then this will be inaccurate and we'll have to bring it back to council. Okay?
I just know we've done it differently in the past, so I just want to confirm.
No problem. Apologize, I was putting the notes down, make sure I don't miss it. The next consideration item that we have up tonight is the consideration and possible action approving a resolution approving and adopting an amended investment policy for the investment of public funds, providing for the highest investment returns, maximum security, and conforming to all state and local statuses governing the investment of public funds. And Summer, you going to lead us through this?
Yes. So again, Summer Fleming, Director of Finance. And this is a resolution adopting an amended investment policy, which is Appendix A of the city's financial management policy. Now, included in the agenda packet, you have a copy of the presentation, a red line version of the policy, and a clean version of the policy as amended, as well as a summary of all changes. So I won't go over every change listed in the summary, because many of the changes are not substantial. They may just be adding clarification, but we are proposing amendments that alter our current authorized investments and requirements. So those are the items I'll discuss in this presentation. So the Public Funds Investment Act, I'll refer to as PFIA, establishes the requirements for local governments regarding the management of public funds. One requirement is to annually review the investment policy and strategies, which the city has complied with. While the policy has been reaffirmed each year, the last time the policy was amended was in June 2009, and as the city and its funds have grown considerably since that time, it became a priority to evaluate our policy and ensure that it adequately addresses risks and opportunities within our current environment. So in doing this, we incorporated best practices established by the Government Finance Officers Association, GFOA, as well as guidance from the Government Treasurers Organization of Texas, GTOT, for the amendments being proposed. And it is our desire to submit the amended policy, if approved, to GTOT's certification program, which recognizes outstanding examples of written policies that meet established criteria from the PFIA and GTOT. So in addition to annually reviewing the investment policy and strategies, PFIA requires the city to designate an investment officer, provide a policy for written certification, obtain an annual audit, and provide for training for the investment officer. And as the investment officer, I must provide quarterly reports to the governing body. Now, the written policy must include a clear strategy that is approved annually, and the strategy must address the following in order of priority: preservation and safety of principal, liquidity, diversification, and lastly, yield. And these are clearly described in the general objectives section of the policy. So now I'll go over the proposed amendments, and I'll reference which section in the investment policy the amendments are in. So in Section 6, under Delegation of Authority, we've added a statement regarding City Council's responsibility, since City Council does hold ultimate fiduciary responsibility for the investment portfolio. While that responsibility has always been present, it was not stated anywhere in our policy. In Section 7, titled Internal Controls, we've added an internal audit compliance statement to ensure the city has proper management controls on investments and that these are looked at by the independent auditors. This is a required statement by PFIA. And in Section 8, we've included requirements for annually approving the list of qualified brokers, which will become a part of the investment policy review each year. And we added the requirement that all authorized brokers and pool participants will sign a compliance certification that they have received and will adhere to our investment policy. I will say that the city has historically received these certifications from each of the pools we participate in. We just did not state this requirement in our policy. Still in Section 8, we're proposing to allow the city to contract with investment firms as permissible under the PFIA and with council approval. As the city's investment resources grow, so should the strategies to ensure the city is maximizing its investment opportunities, and contracting with the firm that specializes in these strategies is a logical step on the road to increasing diversification. We've also added a requirement for competitive bidding of investments and a statement requiring credit ratings and insurance status to be monitored by the investment officer. In Section 9, titled Authorized and Suitable Investments, we are proposing to add an authorized investment for the city that is not currently allowed, but it is allowed under PFIA. That is for brokered certificates of deposit called CDs. Under our current policy, the city can only purchase CDs from a depository institution that has its main office or branch in Texas, and the proposed amendment would allow the city to purchase brokered CDs from a depository institution located anywhere within the U.S. So we would not be purchasing directly from a bank, but rather a broker who can sell CDs from many different banks. We've also amended the requirement for no-load money market mutual funds to what is allowed under PFIA, since our policy was more restrictive. And I'll mention that while these amendments are less restrictive than our current policy and are allowed under PFIA, it doesn't mean the city has to or will invest in any of these options. It merely widens the investment options for the city, allowing it maximum discretion when choosing the most competitive investment vehicle. In Section 10, regarding investment parameters, we're proposing to increase maximum maturities of investments from 13 months to 2 years. And in the same section under performance standards, we're stating that the city shall pursue a conservative buy and hold portfolio, but will allow for securities to be sold before they mature if market conditions present an opportunity for the city to benefit. In Section 11, titled Investment Strategies, we've added some language for clarification regarding the city maintaining separate portfolios or one commingled portfolio. And if funds are pooled, as we do now, principal and interest income is distributed to each respective fund. We've also listed separate strategies by fund as required by PFIA. So in addition to these amendments I just presented, there were several modifications that are not substantial in nature and don't change what our policy authorizes. Most of the modifications are adding clarifying verbiage or moving statements to different sections. But again, every change is listed on the summary of changes provided in the agenda packet. So, in summary, the city's investment policy and strategies must be reviewed and adopted annually, and the amendments proposed tonight are in accordance with PFIA requirements and best practices established by GFOA. So if approved, I would like to submit the policy to GTOT for certification. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank the newest member of the Finance Department, Keely Burnett, for all her hard work and research and really taking the lead on this project. And
Thank you,
that's
Summer.
what I have. If you have any questions.
Any questions from council? Good. Go ahead.
So will this, will you take similar actions for like the investment policy for the MDD and stuff? Because I know you're the investment officer for the MDD, so.
Yes, that
So
is,
you're going to apply the same principles?
that's what I will be proposing at the next meeting, yes.
Okay, so it'll be consistent.
Yes.
Anybody else? Any question? Excuse me, any questions from anyone here tonight? Then can I get a motion to approve a resolution adopting an amended investment policy for the investment of public funds?
So moved.
Keith? And a second?
Second.
Chesley? I couldn't tell.
She said it faster than me.
Any other comments or discussion from council? With the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Summer.
Mayor, can we please go back to the prior item?
Yes.
Much as it pains me to give Council Member Kerner credit here. So your charter, I really wish we could amend it some, but since we haven't, so it's very oddly written, and you have to go to 3 different places to get to the part about what, and it never says it specifically, but what it says is that you have to have a quorum. It defines a quorum of the council as a majority of the council, and a majority of the council is 4, and then in another section it talks about how the affirmative vote of a majority of the council is required for any action to be binding and valid, which is where that comes from with 4 as opposed to 3, as opposed to a majority of the council present. The odd thing is it also says, except where otherwise noted in this charter, and there are 2 or 3 other places in the charter where it wouldn't be a vote of 4. It would be a percentage of those present.
Two-thirds of the
Yeah,
present.
2/3 of those present or some other number. So,
Which equals 3.33, by the way.
well, it may not be, because if you have a vacancy, that reduces the numbers by law, and so it could be 2/3 of a lesser number. So it's oddly worded, but you are correct. It would have needed to be, so the item failed 3-2, which sounds odd, but it failed to get 4 votes, which is what would have been required.
Okay.
Dan, I got a question. Just in general, does that mean in any action we have that we would have to have at least 4 votes of any action to pass?
Well, no, it doesn't, because abstentions and vacancies reduce the number. So there's case law that talks about whether or not a number is reducible, and a number is reducible in 2 instances: abstentions that are required by law and vacancies on the council. And so in any case where that happens, then that number may or may not, that number can change, because the majority can change. What constitutes a majority can change.
I think maybe Keith was meaning for tonight, because we've taken a lot of votes tonight. Are all of those in question?
I
This is
don't
the
know
only
that you've
one.
had any other votes that were 3-2, so no.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just in general, just so I'm clear to understand that in any case, right now, since we have no vacancies and we right now have no abstentions,
Tonight, yes.
right, then any vote we take to be binding would have to have 4 of the council members present. Which means if we had just for example, if we only had 4 council members present, then we'd all have to vote for something for it to be effective.
Correct.
Had that situation before, and I remember that because we went through a long
Clearly,
discussion.
you remember
Yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss you.
Sharp as a tack up here.
So Christina, on the consideration item that we had, the consideration of possible action approving the second reading of an ordinance extending the expiration date of ordinance 2024-11 from October 2nd to January 31st, 2025. We did take a record vote. The record vote was 3 for and 2 against, but the requirement was that we needed 4 votes to pass it, so the motion failed.
Yes.
Okay? All right. We'll move on to consideration possible action approving a resolution to appoint council members as members of liaisons to various boards, committees, and commissions. And in the packet for the resolution, I just continued the current assignments that we have right now for council, which is for the audit committee, Keith Roden, myself, and Chesley Munchow. The branding committee, Laura Kerner, Scott Parker, and Ruben Olvera. On the MDD, Keith Roden and Laura Kerner. Wildlife Education Committee, Ruben, Scott, and Chesley. The liaison to the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee, Emily Stroop. And Court Security Committee, Emily would continue there. And as part of our Emergency Management Committee would be myself, Laura, and Scott Parker. Yes, ma'am.
I don't think we could do the MDD. By state law, we're required to do 2-year terms. Keith is already in an appointed term, and I need to be appointed to a 2-year term by law and by policy. So can we do my reappointment for the MDD during the committee's vote? And Keith's already in an active term, so we don't need to reappoint him.
That's right.
It's
Okay.
the only statutory one in here that we can't mess with.
So we can remove the nomenclature of Keith Roden as appointment to the, well, we're removing all of the MDD.
Yes, and we'll do that and the only one open is mine, and we
It
can,
will include you as part of the appointment
well,
when
you
we do.
already reappointed me at the last meeting because we appointed all the incumbents.
But it's part of the document that's already in it. So your name's already listed.
Yes, I'm already reappointed for a 2-year term.
Right.
Yeah.
But even as part of the resolution on the MDD, I believe you're listed. Yes. Okay, minus the MDD then, would like to continue with the other appointments for our council members to boards, committees, and commissions. Any questions from council other than what Laura brought up? Thanks, Laura. Any questions from anyone here tonight? Then I'll make the motion to approve a resolution assigning council members as members or liaisons to the boards, committees, and commissions as stated. Any other comments from council? Then with the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved.
Can I just have just a comment?
Sure.
Is it possible going forward when we do this, we do it in the May meeting so that matches city council terms?
That is, it was supposed to be done following the election.
Okay.
And that is my mistake for missing that. But yes, because we could have changes of members that are in the committees and commissions that are no longer on the council.
I'm term limited, so I can't serve to 9:30 unless,
Not as a council appointed.
that's right, not as a member of council.
But good point, yes. This should be done in the late May, early June timeframe to make these appointments. All right, so now we'll move on to the committee assignments. I think our last 5 items are all related to assignment of volunteers to our boards, committees, and commissions. And over the last couple weeks, we had the opportunity to interview 13 candidates for the positions that were available. And I'd just like to comment, one, our city was built on volunteers. And in the early portions of our city, the early history of our city, it was really run by volunteers. And as we became more formal and incorporated, we did start to build a city staff, but we are still heavily dependent on volunteers to support our city, which helps us to maintain the integrity or the character of what we want as part of the city of Fair Oaks Ranch. And so we did have 13 individuals that did come forward and volunteered, and I appreciate each and every one of them for taking the step to be a part of the volunteer legacy that is Fair Oaks Ranch. Now, as part of this, we do only have 10 positions available, and so we have two positions open on the Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. We have 1 position open on the Zoning Board of Adjustment, and we have 7 positions open on our new Transportation Safety Advisory Committee, 5 of those being primary and 2 of them being alternate. It's fortunate and unfortunate that we did have 13 candidates that came forward and all highly qualified as they came in and discussed with council. But the unfortunate portion of that is that we don't have enough positions to support all 13 of the candidates. I would encourage that if not selected, that those candidates still continue to find a way to volunteer as part of the city, and I will guarantee that there will be a position sometime in the future that they would be qualified for. Now, council has not had any discussions among its members on who we should select for any of these committees. We did do the interviews in executive session, but we have not had the opportunity to meet as a council to determine who would be identified for each of the committees, commissions, or boards. What we're going to do for the first part is that we're going to go through and conduct a vote first for each of the portions to fill the boards, committees, and commissions. So we'll go through and identify the requirements and take the votes and identify the personnel up front. And then once we have all of that sorted out, we'll come back and go through the resolutions, putting the names into the slots, and then approve the resolutions for those individuals. And the reason that we do it in that manner is because as we go through the vote, if we run into some complication, we don't want to have a resolution already approved, so we'll get the votes all straight, and then we can come back and do the resolutions. It probably won't happen, but just in case. Any questions? Questions from council? All right, so first, we have 2 positions available for our CIAC. I tell you what, I'll kick it off. And my 2 votes go to Mr. Belusic and Gary Miller. And who wants to go second?
Which
You
order
want
are
to
we
just go down
going
the
in?
line?
Huh? Let's go this way.
Okay. Mayor, I nominate Harold Prosaltic and Gary Miller.
Okay? Same?
I had the same. Harold Prasatic and Gary Miller.
Emily?
Had Harold and Gary.
Emily,
Yeah.
you said the
Yes.
same?
Same.
And Keith?
I have Gary and Harold as well.
Okay. So Christina, we have 5 votes for Gary Miller.
I didn't catch
Same.
Keith.
He had the same, Harold and Gary.
Yeah. So
So
I
we have 5 votes for Gary Miller and 4 votes for Harold Prasatic.
Prasatic.
And so they will be the 2 nominations for the CIAC. With that, then we'll move on to the ZBOA. Who wants to kick it off for ZBOA?
I'll do it.
All right.
I have Edward Gillespie.
I also nominate Edward Gillespie.
Me too.
Okay. And Chesley? And I'll nominate Edward Gillespie. Emily, Keith, Scott, or correction, Laura and Chesley. So we have 5 votes for Edward Gillespie to serve on the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And moving on to the primaries for the Transportation Safety Advisory Committee. And Laura, you want to kick them off?
Yes, I would like to. I nominate Chris Debke, Sean Balusik, Denise Fortenberry, Josh Cook, and John Wall.
I had the same, Mayor.
I have, well, I'll let Christina, do you want to catch up?
Yeah, thanks.
I have George Geyer, Chris Depke, Al Schmidt, Denise Fortenberry, and John Wall.
Keith?
I have,
I'm sorry?
you okay? You ready for me? Okay. I have Chris Depke, Sean Belusic, Al Schmidt, Denise Fortenberry, and John Wall.
And Christina, for me, I had Chris Depke, John Belusic, Al Schmidt, Denise Fortenberry, and John Wall. It's 5, isn't it?
So,
Say yours again, Mayor.
Chris Depke.
looking at the highest,
Hey, we need
Hang
the
on one
mayor.
second.
The mayor's is not right.
Oh, the total's off. Okay, no,
Oh.
there's 5. Okay.
Oh, okay.
so Sean, Chris, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go.
There we go.
So 1, 2, 3. 4. And then the next highest would be Al Schmidt.
So I have the slate for the primary positions on the Transportation Safety Advisory Committee will be Chris Depke, Sean Belusic, Al Schmidt, Denise Fortenberry, and John Wall. Is that correct?
And then we have alternates, places 1 and 2.
Want me to start?
Sure, go ahead.
I have Sharon Brimhall and Josh Cook.
Sharon Brimhall and what was the second name?
Josh Cook.
Actually, I should probably remove some of the names.
Oh, right.
Keith?
So Sean, Deputy.
I have Sharon
Hang on, she's removing names.
Hang on.
Okay.
So,
Ready.
okay, Laura and I both had Sharon Brimhall and Josh Cook.
Okay. And Laura.
Laura, there we go.
Okay, I had Sharon Brimhall and Chuck Shine.
And I had Chuck Shine and Josh Cook. Chesley.
Chuck Shine and Sharon Brimhall.
So with that, we have four votes for Sharon Brimhall. We have 1, 2, 3. This one, 3 votes for Chuck Shine and 3 for Josh Cook.
So we can do a tiebreaker.
Runoff.
So,
And so for the last position, between Josh Cook and Chuck Shine, Emily.
Josh Cook.
Keith.
Chuck Shine.
Josh Cook. Laura.
Josh Cook.
Chesley. So we have a vote of 3-2 for Josh Cook. So Josh Cook will be the alternate member for the committee. Well, that went fairly well. So, all right, I'm organized. So the next consideration item that we have on the agenda tonight is the consideration and possible action approving a resolution to appoint members to fill places on the City of Fair Oaks Ranch Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. And in the appointment, we have included, so we already did confirm the reappointments of those that wanted to stay on, but to formalize the process, we have included them as part of the resolution tonight. And so the resolution tonight, if I could get a resolution to, or get a motion to approve a resolution appointing Joe DeCola to place 1, Harold Prasatic to place 2, and Gary Miller to place 3.
So move.
From Laura,
Second.
from Keith. And any other questions or discussion from council? Any questions from anyone here tonight? Then with the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. And then we'll move on to the same process for the MDD, although there were no other appointments, but we do have the reappointment of those currently serving on the board and a motion to approve a resolution appointing Laura Kerner to place 2, Nicholas DeCiani to place 4, and Mike Lovelace to place 5 on the City of Fair Oaks Ranch Municipal Development District Board of Directors. And I'll make the motion. How's that? Do I get a second?
Second.
Chesley. Any other discussion from council? Nope. The motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. And we'll move on to the P&Z. And we had no new positions to it, so it's reappointment of those to stay on the board. And the motion is to approve a resolution appointing Linda Tom to place 1, Bobby Barnes to place 2, and David Horwath to place 4 on the City of Fair Oaks Ranch Planning and Zoning Commission. Can I get somebody to make the motion?
So moved.
Keith and
Second.
Emily. Any other discussion from council?
I have a question. Planning and zoning is 3 years or 2 years?
3.
Okay. That's by law? Okay, cool. I know the,
Well,
all
I
the
don't
other
know
ones
if
are
that's
2.
by law. I don't know that it's by law.
Because I know we had changed
It might
everything
be.
to be all 2, to match all
No.
of our,
We've actually had some is 3 and some is 2.
right, and I think that was the only reason why P and Z was 3 was because we couldn't change it to 2. I just wanted to make sure, because it's the only one that's 3 years, so. All of our are 2 by, MDD's 2.
Or P&Z?
Okay, for P and Z, okay. That was my only question.
With the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Thank y'all. And now we'll move on to the ZBOA. And so for the ZBOA, we have 3 members that were on the ZBOA that are being reappointed tonight, that we've already said we're going to be reappointed, and then formalizing that tonight. And along with that, we'll add Edward Gillespie to place 5. So the motion tonight is to approve a resolution appointing Dean Gobbets to place 2, J.C. Taylor to place 3, Edward Gillespie to place 5, and Al McDavid as an alternate 2 on the City of Fair Oaks Ranch Zoning Board of Adjustment. And will somebody make the motion?
So moved.
Keith, and a second from Emily. Any other discussion from council? Then with the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. And the last is the formation of our new Transportation Safety Advisory Committee. All of these will be new members. And so I will make the motion to approve a resolution appointing Chris Dopke to regular place 1, Sean Belusek to regular place 2, Al Schmidt to regular place 3, Denise Fortenberry to regular place 4, and John Wall to regular place 5. In addition, Sharon Brimhall to alternate place 1, and Josh Cook to alternate place 2 on the City of Fair Oaks Ranch Transportation Safety Advisory Committee. And could I get a second? From Chesley. Any other discussion from council? With the motion on the table, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved. Well, that covers all of our consideration items tonight. Got through 13 items fairly rapidly. Thank you all. And good discussion and good questions along the way. Any announcements from council members? Like to make tonight? I was going to ask Scott, were you going to talk about the trash? Trash talk, thanks.
Talking trash, yes.
As everybody knows, we are switching from our current service provider.
Public services.
Yeah, our current service, the Frontier Waste, to our new service provider, Frontier Waste. And Frontier Waste will begin operations in our city on the 30th of September. When they begin operations, they will be under the same schedule that is being conducted now under our current service provider. So the bottom line is that your trash days will not change. And the last piece to that is starting on Monday, we will do the transition of the recycle and trash bins. And so on your normal day for trash pickup, you will put out all of your Republic Services containers on the curb. And that's on your normal day for pickup. And Republic Services is going to come through just as they have done in the past, and they're going to empty the containers. And immediately following that, well, it may not be immediately, but it'll be fairly close, there will be a truck that will come by and pick up those containers and haul them off. And then what you should see that day or the following day is that your Frontier Waste containers will be dropped off. And I believe the Frontier Waste containers are the same size, 95 gallons, as the containers that we are giving up. I think the word has gotten out. I think people have understood it better now. But just to reconfirm it, And Chief has a Coffee with Chief on October 5th.
Yes, sir.
At the Spotted Deer, which is Saturday morning from 8 to 10, I believe it is. I'd like to come out and talk to Chief, hear his philosophy on our city, and provide comments back to him. I'm sure he would be welcome to meet as many residents as possible. Anything else, Scott?
One announcement, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to say a few words about longtime employee Bill Champion. After 16 years of dedicated service to the residents of Fair Oaks Ranch, Bill will be retiring on September 27th. Some of you are very familiar with Bill, but he began his career with the city as a utility technician, was later promoted to wastewater operator 2. He has an impressive 50-year career in the wastewater field that spans 4 states, reflecting his deep expertise and commitment. And as hopefully you recall, in 2022, Bill was recognized by the Water Environment Association of Texas as the Outstanding Operator of the Year. So his knowledge and dedication certainly have played a key role in the city's success, and his expertise will certainly be missed, but certainly best wishes to Bill in his well-deserved and probably long-awaited retirement. So congratulations to Bill. And as he's led, his life and his career, he's very understated. We'll have an understated reception for him tomorrow with staff, but just wanted to publicly recognize Bill for all his contributions to our system and to the city. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. I'm sure you tried to drag him to the meeting tonight, but he would refuse to come. He deserves the recognition, no doubt. Is there any item that any council member would like placed on a future agenda item? Okay. At this point, we are going to go back into executive session pursuant to Section 551.101 of the Open Meeting Act. Under the Texas Government Code, a quorum of the governing body hereby convenes into closed session. And this will be under Section 551.074 personnel matters, specifically to perform the annual evaluation of the city secretary. Let's see, as part of this, to start off with, I'll need the city council and city manager. And then for the city secretary to stand by outside, and we'll call you in. And I anticipate that this executive session will last somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes. Christina, I have the time now is 8:18, and we are in executive session. Christine, I have the time now is 9:06, and we are back in open session. During the time frame that we were in executive session, there were no decisions made that required a consideration item back in open session. I believe that completes all the business that we had tonight as part of our meeting. Is there anything that we missed, or
No, sir.
Scott, from your perspective, anything else that we need to cover?
Sir.
All right. I have the time now is still 9:06, and we are adjourned.